Hello and welcome back to the Cymru Cactuars. Today we've got a brand new deck profile series for you. A question we get asked quite often is, I'd love to start playing, these are my favourite characters, this is my favourite game, and I'd really like to play something sort of competitive-ish, at least at my locals, with these sort of characters. And we had to think, and we realised, with the state of the game at the moment, there's pretty much a playable deck in every single numbered entry. So we're going to showcase some of them over the next few days, and we'd love a bit of your feedback as well. Final Fantasy 1 is a bit of a difficult one because it doesn't actually have very many characters. You've got Chaos, you've got Warrior of Light, but it doesn't really stretch to much more than that. So we've decided to mix this one with Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 3. So here we have it, Refia control. Refia is the linchpin of this deck. Released in Opus 19, it's taken a little while for her to come out of the woodwork, but in this deck she absolutely shines. Dialing 4 Warrior of Light characters allows you to put one of your opponent's forwards at the top or bottom of their deck, which is hugely powerful when you want to send a problem card of your opponent's to the furthest place away or straight to the damage zone in an oncoming attack. Even better, at the beginning of the attack phase, she'll activate every single Warrior of Light character you control, and if you activate at least 4 of them, she'll draw you a card for the pleasure. Being a 4-colour deck, we're obviously playing the multi-element Warrior of Light, a card touted by many to be one of, if not the strongest card in the entire game, and it's hard to argue against it. Refia's activation means that he can ping a 5k hit, stand back up, attack, and ping again if the need arises. Starting with the backups, you may notice that we're playing a whopping 18, which sets off major alarm bells for a lot of players. It's been a long time since 16 or 17 backups was the standard, with most decks these days playing somewhere in the region of 12 to 15, or even less. But it's a necessary evil in a deck like this, and you'll be wanting to slam down as many Warrior of Light backups as quickly as you can to get Refia live and start controlling your opponent's board. Or activating your backups with Refia to play more cards in your second main phase. Incidentally, we've seen tournament-topping Japanese variants of this list playing as many as 20 backups. Ingus isn't too much to shout about, granting a Warrior of Light Brave in the main phase if needed, but Lunef is the real beast. Giving 1000 power and haste to something like Faris can be absolutely game-changing as she pings off all of your opponent's forwards on entry and attack. Lena is a relatively new and welcome backup to the deck, drawing off every single EX burst your opponent chooses to activate and reviving key forwards later in the game. Being searchable off of King Tycoon is incredibly valuable to 4-colour decks, and something we'll be coming back to in later deck profiles as well. Finishing off the backups, we have 3 copies of Tyro, 2 copies of Sarah FFL, another Warrior of Light backup, and 2 copies of Shantoto. It's still very hard to feel safe with only one Shantoto in your deck, and despite being a huge weakness against Chaos, we still find it to be a worthy inclusion. We've got 12 summons here, a worthy summon toolbox to deal with almost any situation. Cuchulainn for hard mirror matchups, turning off problem cards in the attack phase. Kusif for much needed recursion. Mist Dragon for removing opposing break zones or cancelling summons. Amaterasu for stopping auto abilities, and Leviathan as a devastating EX burst. Finishing up the forwards, we have the previously mentioned Faris for dealing huge damage and searching on damage 3, and Arc as a solid buff that can dig for answers. Bash is a great early game card to find the missing fire or earth pieces that you need, and a staple in practically any deck that can play him. We then have 2 copies of Zidane, which absolutely ruins the mirror match and severely hurts Chaos Arc decks. 2 copies of Furion for the extra haste and draw, 1 copy of Yuzuki to protect our fire and water forwards, and a single Darkness Manifest, which can be easily cast for 2 CP by turn 3. Darkness Manifest is great for putting pressure on your opponent while you continue to set up the rest of your necessary cards. So there it is, Refia control. It's won quite a few locals recently. It was one of the, about one game of Top Cup at the Winter Cup in Cardiff. It's my favourite version of the 4-colour Warrior of Light decks that we've seen, and it's definitely worth a go. To anybody that's a fan of Final Fantasy 1 or Final Fantasy 3 and loves these cards, try this deck out and let us know what you think right in the comments. The deck list will be in the description below. Thanks very much.